As you step into 2026, there is no need to hurry to fix, control or change everything around you. The outside world has its own rhythm and intelligence. What truly needs your attention is the inner space from which you perceive and respond to life. When you begin to notice your thoughts, emotions and reactions, you start living consciously rather than compulsively. Inner awareness means becoming attentive to what is happening within you at every moment. Instead of being lost in memories of the past or expectations of the future, you learn to stay connected to the present experience. This simple shift brings clarity because life is always happening now, not yesterday or tomorrow. When awareness grows, you realize that your inner state determines the quality of your life more than external situations. The same circumstance can feel like a burden or an opportunity depending on how aware you are. By observing yourself without judgment, you create a little distance from unnecessary suffering. A conscious life does not mean withdrawing from the world. It means engaging with life fully but without inner confusion. When you are aware, actions become more balanced, relationships become smoother, and decisions arise from clarity rather than fear or pressure. As 2026 unfolds, let inner awareness be the ground on which you build everything else. Goals, success and growth will naturally align when your inner world is stable and clear. A year lived with awareness may not look dramatic from outside, but it will feel deeply fulfilling from within. Awareness means having the courage to look at life exactly the way it is, without trying to decorate it with expectations or distort it with fears. Most human suffering does not come from life itself, but from the gap between reality and imagination. When you see things clearly, without adding your personal stories, life becomes simpler and more manageable. Often, resistance arises because reality does not match what we want it to be. This resistance creates inner friction, which slowly turns into stress, frustration or disappointment. The moment you stop fighting what is already happening, a certain ease enters your experience. Acceptance does not mean weakness, it means understanding that life is happening on its own terms. When resistance drops, the mind stops struggling and starts seeing. In this clarity, situations that once felt confusing begin to make sense. You no longer waste energy wishing things were different, and that saved energy becomes available for intelligent action. Clarity is not something you force, it naturally emerges when you stop resisting. Seeing life as it is also brings humility. You realize that your opinions, judgments and preferences are limited compared to the vastness of life. This humility opens the door to learning, growth and deeper perception. Instead of reacting emotionally, you begin to respond consciously. As awareness deepens, reality no longer feels like a problem to solve, but an experience to understand. Even challenging situations lose their sharpness because you are not fighting them internally. In this state, clarity is not a momentary insight but a steady presence that guides every step of your life. Most people live as if their thoughts and emotions define them completely. A single thought arises and they say, "This is me." An emotion passes through and they believe, "This is who I am." But thoughts and emotions are events happening within you, not your identity. When you mistake these passing phenomena as yourself, life becomes unstable and confusing. If you simply observe your thoughts without trying to control or suppress them, you will notice they come and go on their own. The same is true with emotions and reactions. One moment they are intense, the next moment they fade. That which can be observed cannot be who you truly are. This simple realization creates a small but powerful distance between you and your inner noise. Observation without judgment is the key. The moment you judge, you get involved again. But when you watch calmly, like witnessing a scene, The mind slowly loses its compulsive grip. Thoughts still arise, emotions still happen, but they no longer overpower you. You remain centered even in the middle of activity. As this space grows, a deeper intelligence begins to function within you. This intelligence is not borrowed from memory or influenced by fear. It responds naturally to situations with balance and clarity. Decisions become simpler because they are no longer driven by emotional turbulence or mental confusion. Living from this deeper intelligence brings a sense of ease and stability. You are no longer pushed and pulled by every thought or feeling. Life happens, but you remain rooted. In this awareness, actions become more effective, relationships more harmonious, and your experience of life more peaceful and conscious. The quality of your year is often assumed to depend on external events, opportunities, or challenges, but these are not the real deciding factors. Two people can live through the same situations and have completely different experiences. What creates this difference is the level of awareness they bring to each moment. Awareness shapes how you perceive, interpret, and respond to whatever life presents. When you are unaware, circumstances seem to control you. A small problem can feel overwhelming, and a minor success can inflate the ego. In such a state, life feels unstable because your inner condition keeps changing with outer situations. But when you are aware, you remain steady even when circumstances fluctuate. You begin to see events clearly without being consumed by them. Moment-to-moment awareness allows you to catch unconscious reactions before they take over. Instead of reacting out of habit, fear, or past experiences, you gain the ability to choose how to respond. This choice is what gives you freedom. Slowly, you realize that peace or disturbance does not come from what happens, but from how deeply you are present while it happens. As awareness deepens, even difficult situations stop feeling like obstacles and start appearing as learning processes. Challenges do not disappear, but they lose their power to disturb your inner balance. Joy becomes quieter but more stable, and pain becomes manageable because you are not resisting it internally. When you live this way, the year unfolds with a sense of balance and clarity, regardless of what it brings. Success feels fulfilling without attachment, and failure does not leave lasting scars. The moments of your life, lived with awareness, shape the quality of your year far more than any circumstance ever could. If you begin your day with awareness, the tone of everything that follows naturally changes. The way you wake up, the way you breathe, and the way you take your first steps into the day sets an inner atmosphere. When you are attentive in the morning, you are not immediately pulled into worries, plans or distractions. Instead, you start the day rooted in clarity and presence. The simplest actions of the day often go unnoticed because the mind is always rushing ahead. Brushing your teeth, drinking water, or walking a few steps are done mechanically. But when awareness is present, these small actions become intimate experiences. You are fully involved in what you are doing, not elsewhere. In this involvement, life feels richer without adding anything new. Many people believe that a meaningful life comes from doing more, achieving more, or accumulating more. But constant doing often creates exhaustion rather than fulfillment. Presence, on the other hand, brings depth to whatever you are doing. A single conscious action carries more value than 100 distracted ones. When you are present, time stops feeling like an enemy. You are no longer chasing the next moment or regretting the previous one. Each moment stands complete in itself. This sense of completeness reduces inner conflict and brings a quiet joy that does not depend on outcomes. As this way of being becomes natural, life no longer feels like a series of tasks to finish. It becomes a continuous experience to be lived fully. Awareness transforms ordinary days into meaningful journeys, not because anything extraordinary happens, but because you are truly there for every step. Much of human behavior is driven by habits that were formed unconsciously over time. These habits may relate to the way you think, react emotionally, speak or even make decisions. Because they operate automatically, you often do not notice them while they are happening. Inner awareness creates a pause between the habit and the action, allowing you to see what is going on instead of being blindly driven by it. When awareness enters, you start noticing repeated patterns in your life. You may see how the same reactions arise in similar situations, how certain emotions get triggered again and again, or how you fall into the same loops of behavior despite wanting change. This seeing itself is powerful. The moment a pattern becomes visible, it is no longer completely in control of you. Compulsive habits survive on unconsciousness. They need you to be absent, distracted, or identified with your thoughts and emotions. When you are fully present, these habits begin to weaken. You do not have to fight them or forcefully suppress them. Simply seeing them clearly reduces their grip, because awareness brings choice where there was once compulsion. As clarity grows, you realize that many habits were created as responses to past experiences, fears, or insecurities. They may have once served a purpose, but now they continue only out of repetition. Awareness allows you to respond freshly to the present moment instead of repeating reactions from the past. This is where true freedom begins. With time, actions start arising from understanding rather than impulse. You are no longer pushed by inner compulsions but guided by clarity. Life becomes less reactive and more conscious. In this state, change happens naturally, not through struggle, but through seeing. When awareness is cultivated, the mind stops being a restless master constantly pulling you in every direction. Most of the time, people are caught in thought after thought, unable to distinguish between what is useful and what is unnecessary. In this state, the mind dominates life and clarity becomes rare. Awareness allows you to step back and watch the mind rather than being consumed by it. Once you observe the mind, you begin to see that not every thought requires your attention. Thinking is a tool meant to solve problems, make decisions, or create possibilities. When used in this way, it serves you. But when it runs unchecked, it produces anxiety, confusion, and unnecessary stories. Awareness teaches you to pick up the tool when needed and put it down when it is not. When the mind becomes a tool, silence and stillness become natural. You no longer feel the constant pressure to analyze, judge, or predict. In these moments of calm, a deeper intelligence emerges, one that is not bound by compulsive thinking, but guided by clarity and presence. Solutions arise effortlessly because the mind works efficiently, not frantically. This shift changes the way you experience life. Decisions become clearer, interactions more balanced, and emotions less overwhelming. Life is no longer a reaction to scattered thoughts, but a response to the present reality. The mind is engaged only when required, allowing awareness to lead the way. This practice brings a sense of freedom. You are no longer trapped by endless mental noise or pulled into every thought that arises. Instead, you move through life with focus and ease, using the mind as a precise instrument, not as a master that controls you. Awareness becomes the natural guide of all your actions. Awareness does not mean standing still or avoiding life. It means seeing clearly before you act, so that every movement and decision comes from understanding rather than reaction. When you are fully present, you do not rush into things blindly or respond out of habit. Each action carries intention, and intention brings power. Deliberate action arises when the mind is quiet and attentive. In this state, you are not scattered by distractions or pulled by impulses. You know exactly what needs to be done and how to do it without unnecessary effort. Precision emerges naturally when you act from clarity rather than confusion. Being precise does not mean overthinking or becoming rigid. It means being conscious of your choices, aware of their consequences, and aligned with the moment. Even simple actions gain depth when performed with attention, whether it is speaking, moving, or interacting with someone. Awareness transforms ordinary tasks into purposeful acts. When actions become deliberate, results improve without struggle. Energy is not wasted in futile attempts or repetitive mistakes. Life starts flowing more smoothly because you are no longer acting blindly or reacting compulsively. There is a sense of rhythm and efficiency that comes from conscious engagement. Living this way gradually reshapes your experience of life. You discover that effort alone does not guarantee effectiveness, but awareness always does. Every step you take, every choice you make becomes meaningful, and the quality of your life shifts from chaotic to harmonious, from rushed to intentional. When you are truly aware, success and failure lose their power to shape who you are. You begin to see them not as reflections of your worth, but as events that come and go like waves on the shore. This perspective allows you to engage fully with life without being carried away by triumphs or weighed down by setbacks. Failure is no longer a judgment or a label but a teacher. Each experience carries information about what works and what does not. Awareness allows you to extract this lesson without being consumed by regret or self-criticism. You remain steady, able to move forward with clarity rather than fear. Similarly, success does not inflate the ego or create attachment. It is a momentary result of effort and circumstance, not a permanent measure of your value. Awareness helps you celebrate achievement without letting it cloud your judgment or create unrealistic expectations for the future. When neither success nor failure defines you, you operate from a place of freedom. Choices are made because they are appropriate and necessary, not because you are trying to prove yourself or avoid shame. This detachment brings stability even in uncertain or challenging situations. Living with this perspective transforms how you experience life. Each moment becomes an opportunity to act consciously, learn and grow. The fluctuations of success and failure become part of the flow rather than obstacles, and inner peace becomes the constant ground from which everything arises. When you cultivate inner awareness, you begin to notice the space between a situation and your reaction to it. Most people react instantly, driven by habit, emotion, or old patterns. They do not pause to see what is truly happening. Awareness gives you that pause, the small but vital gap where choice arises. In that gap, wisdom can operate. Reacting often means being carried away by impulses, judgments, or fears. You respond as if life is happening to you rather than through you. When awareness is present, your responses are no longer automatic. You engage with the situation consciously, with clarity and without unnecessary disturbance. Responding from awareness does not mean avoiding action. It means your actions arise from understanding rather than compulsion. You see the situation fully, feel it, and then act in a way that is appropriate and effective. This is how life begins to flow smoothly, without unnecessary conflict or regret. Inner awareness also transforms relationships and interactions. When you respond instead of react, communication becomes precise, compassionate and balanced. You no longer add chaos to situations by reacting impulsively, and others naturally respond to your steadiness. This practice turns into a natural way of living. Wisdom replaces confusion, and life feels lighter because you are no longer a prisoner of automatic reactions. Each moment becomes an opportunity to act with clarity, making your choices intentional rather than compulsive. A conscious human being naturally creates harmony within themselves and around them without effort, because awareness changes the way energy flows inside. When the mind is calm and the inner world is balanced, actions arise from clarity rather than tension, and relationships respond to that calm naturally. Harmony is not something you force, it emerges when you are fully present. When you are aware, there is no inner conflict dictating your behavior. You do not react with anger, fear or judgment because you are not carried away by unconscious impulses. This steadiness radiates outward, influencing the environment and the people around you. Harmony becomes a natural consequence of your inner state. Being conscious allows you to align thoughts, words and actions. There is no gap between intention and execution. Even in challenging situations, this alignment creates a sense of order and balance that others notice and respond to positively. Harmony is also felt in your interactions with life itself. Events and circumstances no longer pull you in multiple directions. You observe clearly and move appropriately, letting life flow without resistance. This effortless engagement creates a peaceful rhythm in every aspect of existence. Ultimately, living with awareness transforms ordinary experiences into moments of coherence. You do not need to strive or manipulate situations. The mere presence of consciousness creates a space where life moves smoothly, relationships flourish, and inner balance becomes a natural state. The more aware you become, the lighter life feels, not because challenges vanish, but because you stop carrying them as burdens. Awareness allows you to see problems clearly without magnifying them with fear, worry or resistance. When you are present, difficulties are simply situations to navigate rather than chains that weigh down your mind and body. Problems will always exist in some form, but their impact depends on your relationship with them. When you are conscious, you respond instead of reacting. You see what is happening, understand what can be done, and let go of what cannot be controlled. This detachment does not make you indifferent, it makes you steady and capable. Life's weight comes not from circumstances, but from how deeply you identify with them. Awareness loosens that identification. You no longer carry every disappointment, frustration or fear as if it defines you. In this space, challenges remain, but they no longer dominate your inner world. With awareness, even small moments become lighter and more enjoyable. You notice the subtleties of life, the quiet joys and the simple presence of being. The mind is no longer cluttered with endless worries, and the body is no longer tense from carrying invisible weights. Living with this clarity does not make life problem-free, but it makes life manageable and graceful. Each difficulty becomes an opportunity to practice presence and understanding, and as a result, life flows with a sense of ease that is independent of what happens around you. When awareness is present, even the most ordinary moments begin to feel alive. A simple walk, a cup of tea or a quiet breath can carry a depth that usually goes unnoticed. Life is always happening, but most of the time we are lost in thought, distracted by the past or the future. Awareness brings us fully into the now, allowing each moment to reveal its richness. Nothing needs to change outside for life to feel extraordinary. The same surroundings, the same routines, the same people can suddenly appear fresh and meaningful. It is not the external circumstances that create this experience, but the quality of attention you bring to them. Presence transforms the familiar into something remarkable. Ordinary moments often hold lessons or beauty that go unnoticed when the mind is restless. Awareness allows you to see these subtleties, the play of light, the rhythm of breath, the small gestures of connection. When you observe carefully, life stops being mundane and starts to feel profound even in its simplicity. This depth of experience brings a sense of gratitude and wonder. You begin to notice that life is never truly repetitive or boring. It is our distraction that makes it seem so. Awareness allows you to participate fully, noticing textures, sounds, movements and feelings that were always there but previously unnoticed. Living with this awareness gradually reshapes your relationship with time and experience. Every moment carries significance, not because it changes externally, but because you are fully present. The ordinary becomes extraordinary and life itself feels renewed, not by altering it, but by seeing it clearly. As 2026 unfolds, awareness can become more than a practice, it can become a way of living. It is not limited to moments of stillness or meditation, but can be present in every breath you take and every action you perform. When you carry this attention throughout the day, life begins to feel more vivid and each moment reveals its own subtle intelligence. Being aware in every movement does not mean forcing yourself to be perfect or hyper-focused. It means noticing what you are doing, feeling and thinking as it happens. Even the simplest activities like walking, speaking, or eating become opportunities to practice presence. In these small moments, awareness deepens naturally without effort. As awareness grows, it begins to influence your choices. Decisions are no longer impulsive or driven solely by habit. You respond to situations from clarity, seeing not just the immediate outcome but the ripple effects of your actions. Life feels less reactive and more deliberate, and you move through challenges with steadiness and calm. Carrying awareness through every breath also affects your energy and perception. Tension softens and the mind becomes lighter and more receptive. You notice details that were previously overlooked, whether in your surroundings, in relationships, or in the subtle movements of your own body. This attentiveness brings a quiet richness to ordinary experiences. By making awareness your constant companion, 2026 can unfold as a year of clarity and depth. You are no longer living unconsciously, swept along by habits or distractions. Instead, each moment becomes an opportunity to experience life fully, respond consciously, and grow steadily in presence and understanding. When inner awareness becomes a natural part of your life, you stop trying to predict or control every outcome. The mind often creates fear about what is to come, imagining problems that may never exist. Awareness allows you to see that the future is simply a continuation of this moment, and when you are fully present, there is no need to be anxious about what lies ahead. Living with inner awareness means trusting the flow of life rather than resisting it. You understand that every situation, whether pleasant or challenging, is part of a larger unfolding. Instead of struggling against the unknown, you meet each moment as it comes, confident that your clarity and presence will guide your steps. Fear loses its grip when you are fully conscious. You realize that fear is born from identification with the mind's projections, not from reality itself. Awareness creates a space in which you can respond to events rather than being pushed around by imagined threats or uncertainties. Life becomes less about surviving the future and more about experiencing it. With this perspective, planning and preparation take on a new quality. You act responsibly and make choices with understanding, but without being consumed by worry or attachment to outcomes. Decisions are rooted in clarity and presence rather than in anxiety about what may or may not happen. Experiencing the future fully does not mean ignoring responsibility or foresight. It means embracing each moment with attention and openness, allowing life to unfold naturally. When inner awareness guides you, the future is no longer a source of stress or control. It becomes an extension of the present, rich with possibility and lived fully in consciousness.